We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And this is our podcast. And I'm going to introduce to you our host today. I'm Carol Witt, and I'm the founder and director of YEA Global. Um, and I'm going to introduce you to Alina. Alina is from Poland, and she runs a big organization, the Yorgos Foundation. And then we have Raksha, and she is in Miami, and she teaches entrepreneurs how to thrive. We have a lot in common. Uh, and then we have Renata, and Renata is from Oregon, and she is a life coach, and she is all about the concerns of the planet. And then we have Dama, who was our guest earlier, who is making huge, huge differences in having a clinic in Malawi and working with women and babies and children and sickness. And so we are all so very excited, Christine, to have you come and be our guest today and share your very amazing story. I know a lot about it, and you're going to be blown away by what this woman has been doing and done in her life. And so we're very excited to have you come and share your story. Join us, Christine.
Well, thank you, Carol, and thank you, ladies. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm in New York, by the way. We had snow last night.
Ooh.
So, oh, yes. So we were shoveling this morning, not much, but living in New York is challenging. I grew up in New Jersey, about 11 miles out of New York City. So going into New York City was always just hop over the bridge into the Big Apple or Manhattan. And I've been blessed, as Carol said, I've been blessed since I'm a child. I always knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be involved with healing with horses. So I've been involved with horses my entire life. My father took us on a horseback ride, dude ranch, if you know what a dude ranch is, when I was about 5 years old. And my big black horse named Popeye, I'll never forget him. He ran off with me. And I always say it had to do with my father's response as the horse took off up the mountain to catch up with the wranglers. Because my dad, can you imagine being a parent and having your child getting run off with this 1,000-pound animal? But it was my father's response when we got to the top. I thought it was the coolest thing in the whole world, galloping up the hill, and the cowboys were all up top on the mountain watching as I approached. And my dad's response was when he caught up behind me, he changed his facial expression and said, "You're going to be a great horse person one day." Well, long story short, I always was intrigued with why a horse costs what they cost. I was always intrigued by why their value was. And you have to remember, I grew up with five children. My mom and dad were, born in 1915, and they lived through the Great Depression. So my parents grew up knowing what it was not to have. My father was one of 13. Can you imagine trying to feed your kids during the Depression with 13 children? Very, very tough. So my mother I'd say, "Can I have a horse? Can I have a horse?" My mother would say, "No, we can't afford it." But something in my head always says, I'm going to figure out how. My nickname was Mrs. Clean, and she doesn't know how to say no. Christine doesn't know the word no. And, I think those things as we grow up, what we hear from our parents and what we hear is what underlies in our subconscious and who we become. And so I've always been fortunate to know that I was going to do work with horses. And I'll just fast forward, as Carol said, I've been fortunate to live a lot of lives, a lot of lives. I've lived in other countries. I've traveled around the world with clients to purchase horses to Switzerland, to South America. Uh, I did a horse appraisal way back in 1980. I did my first horse appraisal, and I'm still doing those 43 years later, or now it's 44 years later, doing horse appraisals for clients and for donors and for universities, and working in best practices for very, very difficult cases for case law. I had the opportunity to do one of the very first appraisals on frozen semen and frozen embryos. It had never been done, and there was a case, a trial, and I got called as the expert in the field to go and work on the appraisals of frozen semen and frozen embryos. Not an easy thing to do, but it is math, just so you know. Uh, so that's like my horse career. But I've also been involved in ministry. I worked for a children's ranch for almost 10 years down south, and I ran the horse program again. It was a ministry for homeless and battered children. And I'd spent about 10 years down south there. And my children were both born in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was a remarkable place because I watched somebody named John Kroll. Big Oak Ranch is the ranch that he started, a boys' ranch, 120 acres. And then we took over a girls' ranch, 300 acres, and transformed this raw property into homes, 12 homes on each ranch with a facility that is second to none. And back then, it was raising $2 million was a lot of money with no government funding. It was all privately funded, and that was in the '90s. So still $2 million is a lot of money. But he was a master fundraiser, so I had my first experience of knowing how to raise money for a cause, and I'm addicted to that. Even though I'm retired 30 years as not-for-profit director, after three different episodes of not-for-profit work, 10 years in one, 10 years as the director of literacy. That's why when Ilana, you were saying about what you do with this group of women, like doing such cool things for children and families, I can see the alignment with all of us here. So it's hard to fit it all in, but I guess the bottom line is taking my passion, taking my love for horses, and using that to help people, in wellness as well. Because after I left the ranch in Alabama after 10 years and came back to New Jersey, where I grew up, actually, I came back to New York, where I currently live now in Warwick, New York. I ran the first therapeutic riding center. People didn't know that a horse had, well, let me back up. People knew that horses had healing. Horses can heal because they're amazing modality, but we didn't have billing codes back then. We were the first center to open, and we used the horses as a tool. I had a lot of traumatic brain injured adults would come, quadriplegics, paraplegics, and we'd put them up on the horse working with our PTs, OTs, and speech therapists. So just that alone was just an unbelievable experience to be involved with one of the first centers. I wasn't the founder, but I was the development director fundraising while we built a new state-of-the-arts facility, and then eventually became the executive director. So, that's kind of always, those two things for me, healing people, healing children. I remember one little boy coming who had autism, and he never spoke a word. And he came and he spoke his first word on the horse, and he said, "Gray pony." That was his first word. Just amazing, amazing things. And I've always heavily been involved because of my sister's little boy, who was diagnosed with autism. I've been involved in that field as well, very, very deeply and emotionally, because I watched my own nephew, now 33 years old as an adult, facing the challenges he faces. So I've always felt I've been blessed to be ahead of things, again, in the therapeutic riding world and in the horse appraisal business, being the first to do the embryo and the frozen semen. And I have to tell you, it was scary at that first, when I got that phone call from that attorney. I thought to myself, can I do this? Do I know how to do this? But then I realized that I did know how to do it, because I always believe, power comes from above. So if I was called to do it, I was going to be, prepared to step up, as each one of you have done in your lives as well. And that's kind of, that's in a nutshell. And then about 2 years ago, I had my own personal health issue. I had been using like essential oils for healing. I have a Beamer. I don't know if you knew what a Beamer is. I have a Beamer got to work as a medical device from Germany, Liechtenstein, actually. And they had a people beamer, but they were starting to unveil a horse beamer. So I got to, get one of the first prototypes with horse beamer and start to work with a group of horses, about 200 horses with that beamer. But again, always being like in the forefront of when things are first happening. And that's what Carol knows. And Raksha knows. About 2 years ago, I got a phone call from one of my best friends who I know 38, 39 years almost. Guy named, we call him EQ. EQ played baseball professionally. And he called me up and said he had this awful disease going on in his body. And he was needed to have one of his organs transplanted. And I thought, dear God, like I knew he was in holistic health too. But fast forward, he shared with me what I'm heavily involved with now, Cell Defender, Avini products. And little did I want to be involved with anything. I said, no, I don't want to do any other business. I'm retired, I'm not doing this. But when I saw how it healed his body by getting his body clean, by cleaning his toxins out of his body, and I saw how he didn't need to have the liver transplant. He didn't have to do that. And I saw how I had an issue, skin issue on both of my legs, no less. I had these four awful lesions on my legs that I couldn't get rid of. And 3 years going to different doctors, dermatologists, couldn't get rid of them. And he said, try this, Christine. I tried the Cell Defender in this nano silver spray, and voila. And I took pictures. Within 3-4 days, they started to dissipate and they were gone in a week. So I'm like, okay, there's something to this zeolite, So that's kind of where I am now. I'm almost 2 years, and I feel that it's a calling. I feel like it's something that I need to do. I need to tell people about it. Just got a phone call this morning from a woman. I know my time's probably almost up, so
You're
I'll
okay.
just
You're
wrap.
okay.
You let me know when you want me to be quiet.
Got about 8 minutes left. Go for it.
Okay, so I got a phone call today from a client that I was fortunate to do a um, a conference call with our biochemist, Rick Deitch. And Rick is genius. He's genius. He's the category correct. I always tongue tie on this one. Category creator of detoxolite, the zeolite. And Rick is a scientist and has worked with Duke University in the first models of chemo and radiation. So he knew that these metals going into the body could do good and kill the bad cells, but he also knew he had to get it out of the body. So Rick is our biochemist. So I was fortunate to get this woman. I'll just call her T, and her husband is Sal. I'll call him Sal. T and Sal, who are from another country and don't speak. He doesn't even speak English, and he was a PhD in his country with heavy metals. So I'm like, all right, this is over my head. So I got Rick on the phone and shared with them about the zeolite, how we could help T and Sal. And sure enough, this is only 6 weeks ago. And she called me today, Carol, and said, I can't believe the news is good. Now he's not healed, but they can't. His oncologist even said, go for it when we did the call about getting the heavy metals out of the body. So it was remarkable. And she called me today and she said, the doctors can't believe how healthy he is for the state that he's in, what he's going through. So that's kind of my new mission in life here. Uh, Again, another phone call yesterday from a mom that has a little boy that hasn't spoken a word on the spectrum. 4 days of taking the drops, he's speaking. So I got that phone call yesterday. So I'm in the miracle business, Carol.
You are.
We're in the miracle business, clean body can fix itself. So, just taking my love of horses, my love for people, I want to see people well. You said about, being so concerned about Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth's so important. It's just, it's so abused, and anything each of us can do on our part. I didn't realize how chemically toxic, things in our world we're exposed to. I live in New Jersey. Have you watched the news with these crazy drone things going on? Well, guess what? My husband came out of his office the other day and looked up and said, "What in the world is that?" So we're experiencing challenging times in our world. And I think, I know that we have to be bold. We have to share. We have to be there to pick up that telephone to listen to those people. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but as people listen to this podcast and learn, if we could all do it again in a different way, like if we knew now what we knew as a child, right? It would be remarkable. But I think collectively here, there's a lot of wisdom in this room. And I'm just proud to be here. And thank you for having me, Carol.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, my dear. All right. So who has questions for Christine? Well, okay. So Christine, I have a question for you. So my question is this, I've known you for quite some time, and I know that you are about making a difference. Like if there's anything I can coin a phrase around you, anything you're involved in, you make a difference. So where do you see where do you see Avini Health in your life? Because I know that's your big focus right now, is getting people healthy on the planet. Where do you see it in like 5 years from now for yourself? Where do you see it?
Well, what I love about this model of building a business is the ability to help others reach their dreams. So I'm reaching my dreams. You know what I mean? I missed the piece of what happened in my life. I have a son that had a motorcycle accident, broke his back, and had a traumatic brain injury on his 21st birthday. Now I have a husband that crashed his motorcycle 15 months ago, and he broke every bone in his body and is dealing with health issues. So it all started with home. But what I looked at, because I wasn't interested in doing another business, now I'll never retire, even though I could, but I won't. I saw it, Carol, as an opportunity, like amazing opportunity. First of all, I had a conversation on a Sunday with our CEO, Neil Roth, who's brilliant. And I live right by West Point, and he went to West Point. And I know you got to be pretty smart to go into be a West Pointer. And he's a biophysicist. So, I saw three brilliant people come together, three men that formed this company. And I said to Neil, "Oh, you're from New York. How many people in New York?" And he said, "None." I said, "None?"
Big
None. I'm in
opportunity.
New Jersey. He's like, "None." That was 2 years ago. And for a company to start under 2 years ago and be at 20 million, 22 million now in less than 24 months. Hey, I've built companies like this, model companies on the side, not being full time. So I see a way that we can help people meet their dreams, those dreams that went to sleep, perhaps, dreams that they don't have anymore.
Oh.
We can do it. Oh, I like the cat. I have one that joins me too. My cat joins me too on these a lot.
We can do it, Christine. We can do it. Absolutely. Okay. Alina has a question. Go ahead, Alina.
Yes, Carol asked you, Christine, about the future. Yes, what will be where you will be in 5 years. I would like to ask something else. If you could meet a little Christine, a little girl, just going back to your past, now what you would tell her? What would be your advice to yourself as a child?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Well, I think I would tell that little Christine to not that I've never really been afraid to try anything. Okay, I've been a risk taker, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
But I think I would tell that little Christine to take some more risks. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I took a lot of risk. I did things that were, people say you're nuts. People told me I was nuts when when I read that book, Dr. Robert Haas and Eat to Win, but I was competing as an equestrian. So that little Christine, I would tell her to take more risks, get more horses. I had horses my whole life, but get more and jump higher. I would have, jumped to the Grand Prix. That's what I would have done.
Jump higher. I like it.
Here.
I like it. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Renata.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love your story, especially because of the part of the horses, because I am a big animal lover too. And my question for you is, how do you see our health and with this connection with animals and this harmony of different species?
Well, our tagline at the therapeutic center that that I ran was called Healing with Horses. Now, why does that make sense? Because an animal, for one, doesn't know placebo, right? If you're using a product on them, but if you walk up to your cat's joining you, animals have a way to speak without speaking, the power of
Uh-huh.
communication without speaking. I ran a program with the courts. These are boys that got into trouble, and the judge would send me these boys. They were under 21, and these boys would come to the ranch, and I'd say, okay, you're gonna pick your horse, and the horse modeled what they were feeling inside. So animals have a unique ability to do that. They would pick the horse, the angry kid. Most of these boys had some issues going on anyway, angry wise, but those horses would help to reduce that and for them to be present. Same thing with a dog. You meet a dog, you need to be present. You're not going to overpower him, or you might get bitten. So, animals are really a good mirror, I think, of what we're feeling emotionally, for sure.
Oh, I love
And
that. Thank you.
and also Avini Health has pet products that are making huge differences for the animals in their livelihood, in their liveliness. It's bringing dogs that are older dogs back to life, and cats that are older cats back to life. It's pretty exciting, actually.
Carol, my cat, I was telling Raksha this the other day. My cat has become this cuddly thing. My cat was not cuddly at all. Ever since she's been on the cell defender, she's a different cat.
Oh
I'm
my
telling you.
goodness.
And she doesn't have the rash that she always got this dry rash over her eyes.
Oh,
Doesn't have that any longer. Oh, there's your cat. That looks like a lion,
beautiful.
tiger. That's a big cat.
So cute.
Wow. Okay. Anybody else have a question for Christine before we end?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to ask a
Knocked off?
question usually Jackie asks everybody. What is it that you need now that will support you in your business?
I need you.
You got me.
There you go.
I love that.
Well, I can't have what I need. I need more time in a day. Can't have that. But,
No.
I do love to do this though. I always need to be ultra open and sensitive when I use this as a trick for myself. When I see somebody who reminds me of somebody, I call them up. When I see like someone pops into my mind, and that back to the question of what would I tell the younger Christine, I do that sooner. I would do that sooner. So I need people to be share. We have to get this message out. When in 2 days, I've had two amazing stories of a little boy that never spoke a word, and the mother and father can't believe this boy's taking cell defender, and the teacher wants to know, what are we giving him? What are you doing? What's different? So I need other spokespeople. That's what I need. I need other spokespeople to help share this amazing, amazing. Let's get the body clean. The body can heal itself.
Yes, I
Perfect.
love that. I totally love that. And I will tell you this, guys. I have been down with the flu, and my roommate, she came down with it first. She's had it for 9 days. Guys, I've had it for 4 days, and I'm just about right back to normal because I use the Avini products. I use the Cell Defender and a lot of it while I've been sick, and the Nano Silver to clean out my system. And I know that's why I'm back with more energy than I have had in a little while, because I've been in bed flat on my back for about 4 days. So, but I'm doing way, way better and quicker. So I'm thankful, 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 thankful. And I'm one of these people that I believe so wholeheartedly in this that I share it with everyone I can. So, Christine, I'm so happy you came on to our podcast and shared yourself with everyone. I know you're going to open many doors for many women inside of the things that you took on in your life and inspire many. Thank you once again for an amazing episode. And guys, please, if you love these episodes, please subscribe to us, subscribe to our channel, share it out everywhere so many more women can see what we're up to and what we're doing, and that we have a platform that their voice can be heard. And we have a platform that their voice can inspire many more women out there. Okay. And please look us up. We're all over LinkedIn. If you'd like to be a guest on this podcast, please look us up and come and share your story with us. We're full for this year, but next year we're wide open. So please join us, be a guest. Okay. Thank you again for an amazing experience with everyone. And let's go out there and thrive, guys, health-wise and wealth-wise. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
When we stand